You know, some people say that you shouldn't grow supermarket potatoes because you might import disease into your garden, or they just might not grow well anyway because they're not seed potatoes. Well, I'm going to prove them all wrong, hopefully, and harvest a ton of potatoes that were grown from old supermarket potatoes. And hopefully I can harvest them before the rats get them all. Let's get into it. About 5 months ago, yes, I'm late, I sowed a whole bunch of old supermarket potatoes that had gone green. They were inedible, and instead of putting them into the compost or just chucking them out and wasting them, I thought that I would try planting them in this long raised garden bed here. Some of them I cut in half, other ones I just planted whole. I didn't really do much to the soil except add a little bit of extra fertilizer, organic fertilizer, and I did throw a little bit of rock dust on there as well. Over the coming weeks and months, the potatoes sprouted and it grew pretty well. I did go away for about 4 weeks, and my boys tell me that they did water this area a little bit, but we had some hot days while we were away, and I'm not sure really that these did get a whole heap of attention. They certainly probably didn't get the attention that they normally would if I was here that whole time. There are still some plants remaining. They're all dead, of course. They've been dead for a good month now or more. I just haven't got around to harvesting them, and that is why I need to do it. Not just for this video, but here in the subtropics, when you're coming into summer, we haven't had the summer rains yet, which is lucky. Because if you start getting regular rainfall and the heat, the potatoes, they might sprout in the ground and re-sprout and then try to grow through the hottest time of the year, in which they will fail, it will ruin the potato and they will die and you will ruin your harvest. The other thing that might happen is the potatoes will rot in the ground and you won't get a harvest, or the potatoes, like in this instance, will start to get unwanted attention from the wildlife, like rats, for example, and maybe even other mammals, and they'll come in and they'll start digging these potatoes up like they have done here. These are perfectly good, fat, edible potatoes. Well, they were. They're not anymore. After you've got a bit of rat spit on them, who wants to eat them? And we shouldn't be. So they'll be discarded into the compost pile, unfortunately. And the last reason why you want to harvest them in good time is your potatoes that are closer to the surface might work their way up just naturally. And if they do that, they'll start going green and inedible, just like this one here. And you might be able to salvage that for next season, letting it sprout in a box somewhere in a nice dark place, and hopefully it won't eat itself by the time you're ready to plant it out. Well, in this case, in a good 3 or 4 months time after summer, when we're heading into autumn and winter. When people talk about importing diseases into your garden from supermarket potatoes or store potatoes, there is a possibility that that can happen. And I guess people get worried about that threat. I know it sounds counterintuitive, and of course, I still think the best way to go is to buy some seed potatoes from a proper organic certified seed potato supplier. And for those who don't know, seed potatoes are supplied to potato farms. Seed potato growers are different to commercial potato growers because potatoes generally do better on their second crop. So that's why people say, you know, you're probably not going to get a very good harvest because you're planting an established potato into your garden. It's not a seed potato, and I get that. What you're essentially doing by simply regrowing them, you're improving that crop. But anyway, the proof is going to be in the harvest. So let's harvest and see if they're right and I'm wrong, or if I'm right and they're wrong. I suppose we can just start at that end there. Your right, my left. Oh, it's pretty tough. Jiminy's, it's gone. No wonder some of these potatoes are coming to the surface. It really has hardened up this soil. Now I'll probably stab them to death. Oh, that one there's a bit rotten. Now see, that's what I mean. It's already starting. I shouldn't have been leaving these sit in the ground, because they'll start rotting and fermenting and look, turning into worm food. I'll leave that aside. That's okay. They're not big. All right, let's keep going. Oh, wow, that's massive. Lovely, beautiful size. Rotten, tell already by looking at it. Oh, here's a good find. Beautiful. Yep, good. What I might do is put these over there, get them out the way. And speaking of getting them out the way, we will weigh them as well when we're finished and see how much we've got. Oh, that's a beauty. What a ripper. Wow. Not much at this end here. Might have been too much shade from this mulberry tree, and that could have restricted the tuber growth, not getting enough sunlight and energy to put into those tubers. We've got the last bit of the bed to go. Let's see if we can get a few more at least. But that's a good lesson as well. Be careful of the shading out on your raised beds or your garden. Decent sized one. Very good. Another one. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I think that's her. Now, who thinks that's a waste of time? I'm sure probably none of you. Yeah, I'm really happy with that harvest. Very happy. We've recycled our old supermarket potatoes. And why do I buy supermarket potatoes? Look, we've got two big boys that need food, and we don't always get it right in the garden and grow everything that we need, but we do try to. Remember, I like to say, be self-sufficient in something. Be as self-sufficient as you possibly can. But we don't like buying supermarket food at all, especially fruit and veg. And we go out of our way to try not to and to avoid it. But then when we do, you often find that those supermarket potatoes go green really quickly because they're very old. They're usually months and months old and on the verge of going green anyway. So when that does happen, I do make the most out of it, and as you can see, recycle that into something really great. Organic, big, delicious potatoes that will probably last a heck of a lot longer than the supermarket varieties and will be a lot better for you as well. My scales are a little bit buggered. They're about a kilogram off center, so that when I weigh them, I'm going to have to take that into account and add a kilogram on. I'm going to have to buy some new scales. These are wearing out from all my ton of veggies weighing. We didn't end up with a whole heap of baddies. That's not too bad when you compare the baddie group to the good group. I expected to be worse than that. If I would have left it, I think another even couple of weeks, we would have got half this harvest, which would have been disappointing. So I'm glad we harvested them when we did. What do I get? I get nearly 11 kilos. We'll see if you get the same. Remember, you got to add that extra kilo on. Maybe 10.5. Anyway, I need new scales. It's still a good harvest, as you can see. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and the premise of this video, and that is you don't have to discard your supermarket variety potatoes. If you've bought some and they're gone green, they're not edible, yes, you could just compost them in, but if it's the right time of year, chuck them in the ground and recycle that harvest and grow something even bigger and better for you. Thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you give it a big potato thumbs up recycling. Bye for now. Cheers. I actually might leave these here for the rats to get a bit more of a fill. It's not going to hurt none.